Hey guys, what's going on? John here, back again for another Magic the Gathering video. And in today's video, we've got a deck tech for you all. This is my first deck tech in a long time, so I hope you guys enjoy it. In my opinion, this is the coolest and most fun commander from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. The commander that we have for you today is Riku of Many Paths. And this is one of the coolest takes on a Spellslinger deck and a really good revisiting of an old commander. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. First up, our commander, Riku of Many Paths. For green, blue, red, he is a 3/3 legendary creature human wizard who says, whenever you cast a modal spell, choose up to X, where X is the number of times you chose a mode for that spell. Exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play it. Put a +1/+1 counter on Riku of Many Paths. It gains trample until end of turn, and create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying. So our game plan will be to get Riku out early. Usually this will mean turn 3. Unfortunately, because of the color restrictions on Riku, it's very difficult to get him out earlier. But we want to have Riku out early with access to more mana once he's out. We want to control the board with modal spells. We want to draw lots of cards and make Riku big, and then win with a giant Riku smashing in or other finishers that we will get through later in the video. So let's start with our ramp. The ramp is generally pretty simple. We've got Rampant Growth and Farseek, each of which can get us lands on the battlefield tapped. Farseek slightly better because it can get us dual lands. Glimpse the Core is similar to Rampant Growth in that it can get a basic forest tapped, but it can also get a cave from our graveyard back, and we do have one cave in the deck. Glimpse the Core is also nice because it is a modal spell. We've also got Nature's Lore, 3 visits, both of which grab a forest untapped. That can also be a dual land. And Skyshroud Claim grabs 2 forests untapped, which can also be dual lands. Return from the Wilds is a modal spell. We get to choose 2. We could grab a land, and then we can either make a food or a human token. This will be nice to trigger Riku. And also just some extra value with the food or the human, but mostly it's here for the land and triggering Riku. We've got Intish Restoration. We're able to sacrifice a land, and usually we will get 3 basic lands because Riku is very typically a creature with power 4 or greater. We've also got Harrow, which can sacrifice the land and get 2 basics untapped onto the battlefield at instant speed. Finally, we've got Cryptolith Rite. And if you look at the list, this may not make much sense, but you have to realize that Riku does make those bird tokens. So if we have a Cryptolith Rite, we can start making bird tokens with Riku to gain a ton of mana. For card velocity, also known as card draw, we don't have too much because Riku himself is a really good source of advantage with his exile ability, but we do have some things. First of all, we've got Archmage Emeritus, which draws us cards when we cast or copy instants or sorceries. We've got Glade Muse, which allows any player to draw a card if they cast a spell on a turn other than their own. Yes, this can draw our opponents some cards, but it will 99% of the time be way more impactful for us than our opponents. We've also got Wavebreak Hippocamp, which is the same thing as Glade Muse, except we only draw 1 per opponent's turn, and it's only for us. So it can be slightly better and also slightly worse. Wild Magic Sorcerer is a nice piece of advantage because it gives us Cascade on the first spell we cast from exile each turn, and Riku draws cards through exile. Jessica's Will is also just amazing. We're able to exile the top 3 cards of our library, and if we have Riku out, we can also add a red for each card in target opponent's hand. This is obviously a commander staple and a great card. We've also got Drown in Dreams, which is our X draw spell. It's also modal, so we can allow ourselves to mill players and trigger Riku. Finally, we have Case of the Ransacked Lab, which is not always velocity, because we do need to solve by casting 4 or more instant or sorceries in a turn, but when it's not velocity, it also discounts our instant and sorcery spells, so generally this card is definitely worth a slot in this deck. Next up, we've got by far the largest category, which is just modal spells that really didn't fit into any other category, whether they were doing their own thing or they were doing things that could fit into multiple categories. First, we've got Collective Defiance, which is a modal spell with Escalate. We can Impulse Draw a bunch, we can kill a creature, and we can Lava Spike an opponent. We've got Into the Fire, which can wipe away small creatures and planeswalkers, and it could also refill your hand if you've got bad cards stuck in it. Road of Return can get permanents back from your graveyard to the hand, and it could also get your commander in your hand from the command zone if Riku has died too much. Shifting Grift is a weird little one. We can exchange control of creatures, artifacts, and enchantments. This one is especially nice when Riku makes his bird tokens, because you can give a bird token away for something better, and then you can give a mana rock or something, or a treasure token away for something better in terms of artifacts, similarly for enchantments. Titania's Command is one of the more expensive mana-wise cards in the decks, but it's very nice. You can exile a graveyard, you can get 2 lands, any lands, they don't have to be basics, you can make some bear tokens, and you can put 1/1 counters on your creatures. Archdruid's Charm is a tough cast with that 3 green pips, but we can tutor a creature or land. If it's a land, it goes to the battlefield. You can put a counter on Riku, and then Riku's going to do a ton of damage to a creature, usually just kill a creature, or you can exile an artifact or enchantment. Definitely worth those 3 green pips. Flame of Anor is always typically going to choose 2 because Riku is a wizard, so you can draw some cards, destroy an artifact, kill a creature. Inscription of Abundance, you're always going to kick it. You're going to put counters, you're going to gain some life, and Riku is going to fight some stuff. Izzet Charm can be a counter spell, it can be a kill spell for small things, and you can also loot with it. Prismari Command can kill small things, it can also loot, it can kill an artifact, or it can create a treasure token. Quandrix Command is similar, but you can bounce a creature or planeswalker, you can counter an artifact or enchantment, put some counters on a creature, and then shuffle some cards in a graveyard if someone is attempting to reanimate something. Return the Favor is also really nice because you can copy some instants and change targets. If you cast this in response to an opponent casting a kill spell targeting Riku, this is going to be a huge blowout because you're going to copy it and change the target of the original one. So you're going to have 2 kill spells going at their things, and that is going to really hurt them. We've also got Seed Double, which is really, really nice. Typically it's going to have both because it's pretty easy for opponents to get 8 or more cards in their graveyard. You can copy a spell and create a token copy of a creature. Simic Charm is nice. It'll give your permanents hexproof that can save Riku. It can also buff if needed or bounce a creature, but usually it's going to give hexproof. Sublime Epiphany is another of those really big spells that has a lot of effects. Counter a spell, counter an activated or triggered ability, you can bounce a permanent, you can make a token copy of a creature you control, and you can draw a card. And you can do any number of them, so usually it will be worth the 6 mana. Temur Charm is nice because you can have Riku fight something, which will just be a kill spell. You can have a mana leak effect, or you can make it really difficult for your opponents to block Riku with that 3rd effect. Trash the Town is also really nice. It's one of the spree ones from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Put some counters. You can give Riku trample. Typically, you're not going to need to because he's going to get trample himself. And then you can also draw a couple cards because Riku's going to have trample and he's going to be crashing in. 3 Steps Ahead is similar. It's also a spree card. It's a counter spell. You can make a token copy of an artifact or creature, and you can loot a little bit. You've also got You Come to a River. It's pretty simple. You can either bounce a thing, but usually you're going to make Riku unblockable. Just kill a player. You find some prisoners, you can kill an artifact, or you can impulse draw off your opponent's deck. And then you look upon the Tarrasque as an interesting one. You can either fog, or you can make Riku huge and indestructible and just use him to wipe your opponent's entire board by forcing them all to block. Finally, we've got Twinferno. It's really nice. You can either give Riku double strike or copy an instant or sorcery. Both modes of this spell are going to be really, really good. For interaction, it's a lot of modal spells. We've got a ton of interaction in this deck. You can see there was a lot even in the modal category, but this is just the stuff that's purely interaction. Hull Breach is going to kill artifact, enchantment, or both. Pick your poison is going to make your opponent sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or a creature with flying. Abrade is either going to kill an artifact or a creature with toughness 3 or less. Beast Within destroys any permanent. You know it, you love it. Same with Chaos Warp. You're going to shuffle a permanent in. Cryptic Command, you're going to choose to. Usually you're going to counter a spell, but you can also return a permanent to its owner's hand. Tap all creatures your opponents control or draw a card. It can be really nice if you just want to kill someone with Riku. Decisive Denial, also a really nice card. It's either a mana leak or Riku can fight something. Defabricate is a nice little counter spell. You can counter an artifact or enchantment and send it to exile, or you can counter an activated or triggered ability. A little bit of a better negate that will trigger Riku. Deflecting Swat is a necessary evil in my opinion. Riku's going to get targeted with a lot of stuff, so we want to have Deflecting Swat to be able to change that target to save Riku because he is central to this deck's game plan. Insidious Will is a little bit of an overcosted counter spell, but you can also use it as a copy spell or choose new targets for something. Mystic Confluence, usually you're going to be countering a spell, drawing a couple cards. Choose 3 is really nice with Riku because you can trigger all 3 of Riku's modes. Pyroblast is just going to counter or destroy a blue spell or permanent. Reality Shift, another classic, you're going to exile a creature. Its controller basically gets nothing. Reverse the Polarity. It's typically going to counter all other spells, but you can also do some weird stuff with switching power and toughness, and also make Riku unblockable. That'll usually kill a player. Finally, for our 2 board wipes in the deck, we've got Wave Goodbye. We don't play a ton of creatures, and Riku is our central creature. He's always going to have 1/1 counters. So Wave Goodbye is just typically going to be a one-sided board wipe. Same thing with Cyclonic Rift. You know it. You probably hate it, but it's just an incredibly good card, and it really does need to be played. In terms of general value, we've got a couple things. Harmonic Prodigy is going to double our Riku triggers because he's a wizard. It's also got prowess, but he's mainly here to double the Riku triggers. It's going to be really, really nice. Oherpak Patik is very similar. You're going to get rebound on all of your instants, which is really good because there are a ton of instants in this deck. You're going to get extra Riku triggers, you're going to draw extra cards, it's going to be awesome, and if Oherpak Patik dies, you're going to get the land side of him and be able to flip him back usually. Veyron, Voice of Duality, is very similar to Harmonic Prodigy because all of the things that trigger Riku are instants or sorceries, therefore he is going to trigger twice, very much like Harmonic Prodigy. It's going to be really nice, and you've also got that Magecraft ability, so just like Harmonic Prodigy, Veyron's going to get pretty big, going to be able to crash in. We've also got Hardened Scales. This is our probably one true 1/1 counter effect in this deck. Because we do put things on in increments of 1, Hardened Scales will be really nice because every time we put 1 counter on, it's going to be 2 instead. We've also got Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. It's going to give us haste, and it's going to be really tough for our opponents to target Riku once he's got the Greaves or Boots on him. We've also got some finishers in the deck. Mob Rule is another modal spell, but it's going to allow us to take control of all creatures with power 4 or greater usually, which is just going to win the game. Metallurgic Summonings. We're going to be able to create construct tokens when we cast instant or sorceries. They're going to be huge. Same thing with Shark Typhoon. You're going to get flying sharks. You're going to get a ton of them. You're going to crash in, and you're going to win with just an overwhelming amount of big construct creatures. And then we've got Savage Beating. It's another modal spell, but it's going to allow our creatures to gain double strike and give us an additional combat. That's going to be, that's just going to end the game. With Riku there, he's just going to kill everyone at that point. In terms of our mana base, it's a pretty simple Teamer Colors mana base. We've got 3 Rainbow lands in City of Brass, Command Tower, and Exotic Orchard. We've also got our 3 Battle Bond lands here, Rejuvenating Springs, Spire Garden, Training Center. We've got a bunch of lands with land types. This is really nice because we've got a lot of things that'll tutor forests as well as Farseek, which will tutor islands or mountains. So we've got our 3 shock lands, as well as Cinderglade, which is a Battle for Zendikar land, Hedge Maze, which is a Surveil land from Karlov Manor, and our Triome, Ketria Triome. We've got some more decent land cycles. We've got the slow lands from Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt in our colors, as well as our Pain lands. We've got our 2 Horizon lands, Fiery Islet and Waterlogged Grove. Another rainbow land that I couldn't fit on the first page of them, Mana Confluence, as well as Yavimaya, making all our lands forests. That'll be really nice, especially if we've got an Archdruid's Charm to be able to pay for those green pips. And finally, we've got a bunch of value lands. We've got Boseiju, which can destroy some artifacts and enchantments. Otawara can bounce pretty much any permanent type. Pit of Offerings is going to exile some cards from a graveyard. That's also our only cave in the deck. So if we do need to return it to our hand, we can. And Kessig Wolfrun is going to make Riku really big if we want to kill someone. In terms of basic lands, pretty simple. 3 forests, 2 islands, and 2 mountains. Now we go to the final deck stats. We've got 10 pieces of ramp. This is probably a little low, but the deck is very low mana cost typically, and we don't need a ton of ramp, so I'm okay with that. I obviously created the deck, and in my playtesting, the ramp has never been an issue because the deck plays a more controlling game style. You're able to get by with less ramp and still be very successful. We've got 25 pieces of interaction. This is just really because all the best modal spells are interactive pieces. So to get the best use of Riku, you're going to have a lot of interaction. We've got 2 board wipes that we spoke about before, 11 pieces of card draw, including Riku. That's really important because we could have added more card draw, but Riku is going to be a really big engine. We've got 38 modal spells in the deck, which is going to mean Riku is going to be triggered on over a third of the cards in our deck, as well as 33 lands, again pretty low, but that's because the deck has a low mana curve, as well as our 4 finishers. That is all I have for you guys today. I would very much appreciate if you could leave a like on this video, drop a comment in the comments below saying what other commanders from this set you'd like me to do a deck tech on, and please subscribe and hit that notification bell. It means so much to me. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you later.